Hello, good evening to all. Welcome to the 10th day of the 46th Mill Valley Film Festival. I hope you have been enjoying and watching amazing films and having a lot of fun at our events. You still have one more day. And that also means that you have one more day to support our fundraising campaign at the California Film Institute, not just the Mill Valley Film Festival, but our programming through the year. You can scan this QR code, and no donation is too small or too big, and we really appreciate it. And of course, our members as well, thank you so much for your support. And okay, I'm gonna keep going on with the evening, so don't forget to scan that. Now, or you also will see it in many other different places for the rest of today and tomorrow. This program is presented thanks to the generosity of the Nancy and Richard Robbins Family Foundation and Wareham Development. So thank you so much. This evening is just gonna be such a special program, and I think you are all very lucky to be in here tonight for the US premiere of Skin of Glass. Directed by Denise Zmekhol, one of our local filmmakers, part of this vibrant community, and I know she and all of us are so happy to finally watch her film after all these, I believe, over 7 years of work. 10 years, 6. A lot of time in the making, and as well a lot of you being part of it. So we are really, really happy this is happening now. I just want to mention that Denise is back from Europe collecting several awards, including the Audience Choice Award at the Architecture Film Festival in Rotterdam, the Best Feature Documentary at the Barcelona Architecture Film Festival, and the film was also a finalist at the Venice Architecture Film Festival. With that said, of course, you are in for a treat. What I wanted to say is, well, first, thank you, Denise, for creating this beautiful piece, and during your personal journey, taking us all of us to your beautiful homeland and sharing this very personal experience. But that's also, besides being personal, so full of vibrant and timely issues and art and story and so much that your film brings. And I just want to welcome you so everybody can see you and honor you tonight, and for you to introduce your film, Skin of Glass.
Thank you, Maribel. I'm so happy to be here at the Mill Valley Film Festival. It's like home to me and home to all the team that has been working with me in this film for so many years. So, and all my great friends are here too, so thank you so much. My supporters. And all I want to say is that there's a very special performance after the Q&A, so stay in your seats. And also, I just want to tell you that making this film made my heart open in so many different ways that I never expected. So take the journey and open your heart, and we'll talk later after the screening.
Now you can applaud for Denise Zmekhol. I'm going to have you stand
We found a nice
here,
place
so we're in
here,
front of the guitar.
Okay.
Not too close to it. That's great.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Wow.
That smells amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
So beautiful. Would you like to put them down for a second while we
I
talk?
guess.
You can do that. Those are gorgeous.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Wow, it's so great to see cinema on screen. You did such a beautiful job.
Oh, thank you,
So
thank you,
beautiful.
thank you. And coming from you, which I feel very honored to have you doing my Q&A. Thank you so
Well,
much,
it's
Zoe. You know,
my
she's the
honor.
founder and the director of this festival, and she's an amazing. She does amazing Q&A, so I feel super honored
no
now.
pressure, right? No pressure.
Okay, you better do a good one, huh?
But
Oh,
you know, the thing that I find fascinating about your film is that you went looking for one story and a completely different story evolved. Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened? I mean, it's like you, in a way, it's like you're going to look for your father. In another way, we end up seeing a profound story through the story of a building. So tell us a little bit about whether this was a film that you were developing over years, over decades, like maybe you felt it began when you were 11 or 14 or whatever. Tell us about how it evolved for you.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was thinking 20 years ago to make a book about my father's work because I was kind of finding out more and more about his work. Then I moved here and I forgot. And then a friend of a friend told me, oh, you know, I'm doing my thesis, my graduation thesis on your father's building. So do you have any material that I can use, any photos? And by the way, do you know that the building is occupied? And I said, no, because, you know, I didn't know. So I remember talking to Leah Mahan, my co-producer, and I said, you know, there's this story here, you know, maybe there's a story, maybe there's a film, but this, look at the building, it looks so crazy with all this graffiti, all these people living there. Do you think there's a story there? And she said, oh my God, yeah. So we start like, you know, thinking about the story about the people inside the building. And I think until the building caught fire, I didn't feel the need to kind of go in this deep search about my father's story, because I don't know, I was just like maybe in denial that it would be obvious that, you know, making a film about what was going on to this symbol of modernism and masculinity and everything, you know, that collapsed. It was like, okay, here's my chance. And it was very, yeah, I was so devastated when the building, you know, was destroyed that I felt like I needed to go deep. And then a lot of course, there are a lot of people in my team, like, you know, Josh and Ricardo Costa, our consulting editor, Ellen Bruno, who are like, yeah, go deep, open, you know, to your personal story. So I think, you know, I had to do it.
That's fascinating, you know, that it really began with the building, you know, in a contemporary place, and it took you deeper. I mean, you know, usually a story would probably begin at, you know, in the past and move forward. I'm just sort of interested in that. So as you develop the story, what we see now takes us back to, you know, your early years. So, you know, we experience it chronologically. At what point did you realize that you had to go way back to your early days with your father?
Because I felt I needed to tell, I mean, his story or our story.
Yeah.
Both stories?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just like, you know, who we are today is always part of who we were, what happened to us. So I just went back and back and back until I was born, until the building was built and designed. Yeah. So everything was kind of happening at the same time. So I just felt was, you know, kind of the way to go, you know, to tell the story of the birth of the building, my birth, and you know, and the relationship that I had with my father that also kind of reflects the building in a way that, you know, was, you know, was sadly
you have,
changing.
Your life is now like a building of glass. We see right through to you,
Yeah.
actually.
Broken or...
No, not broken. No.
No, I don't feel broken. Actually, I tell you, making this film was the most expensive therapy of my life. And I feel so much better. And I made peace with my father. And, you know, it's still, of course, it's like a scar. It's not an open wound. It's a scar, you know, because I didn't have a chance to talk to him again, right? So, I mean, we talked, we were together, but everything was really different after that fight, so.
Yeah, but you do, because you write letters to him in the film. I mean, that's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you.
the way that the film is visually very stunning, and thank you. Yeah, it's beautiful. So you've obviously inherited something of your father's eye, and he recognized that eye in you by giving you a camera when you were little. But could you also talk about how you evolved the look and feel of the film? Because it's very striking visually, but it's also incredibly poetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I worked with 5 DPs in Brazil just because every time I would come back, the first one would be busy, and then I would work with another one, and back and forth. But I was very careful to choose from the beginning, you know, people that I felt had a good sense of aesthetic, and because we're going to be talking about architecture, and you know, so I felt, I mean, just because also I appreciate beauty, you know, I think you can, you know, if you're doing a documentary, it should be good too. It should look good too, you know, in my point of view. So, yeah, so we worked with very talented Brazilian directors of photography, and the drones also, I thought was very important to have drones of the building, because you know it's so tall and it was so much going on, right? So
yeah, I wondered about the aerial photography. It's extraordinary. So you used drones. Was that
drones,
the first time using them?
Yeah, in a film, yeah. I thought it was perfect for architecture because you can really go up and you know, around and on top, and we did the drone in February, and the building caught fire in May. So it was just like I started filming 6-7 months before the fire. So I tried for 3 months to get in, and then I came back here and I said, well, I'll come back and try again. And then I went to France to meet Pablo and to interview some family, but then I came back, and the next day the building caught fire, and I flew back. So, yeah.
There was a moment that really strikes me when you evoke a memory of watching your father draw when you were little, and you say that you remember seeing, I forget exactly how you put it, but it's like seeing the stillness in him.
In his face,
and then also the sound of the pencil. Do you think that witnessing that in your father and having that example of what it is to be an artist, how do you think that got into your, you know, do you think that in any way informs the way that you work now, or do you recognize those qualities in yourself?
Yeah, I think, you know, I saw him doing so much work and drawing, and I would go visit the buildings. I would go to the model person, you know, to look at the models. And so I was always, and he always brought a lot of art to us, you know, in so many, all kinds of arts, you know. Let's go to the movies, let's go to the theater, here's a nice painting. So, yeah, you just grow up with that taste of good stuff. Right. They look good. And, you know, he was always supporting his students by buying their first paintings, you know, and then they became very famous artists, and they would meet me and say, can I get my first painting back? And I'm like, no. You know, I'm attached to them now, so, you know. So.
Also in the film at one point, somebody, you know, looking back at the building, says something about that it seems naive to us. It looks naive to us now. I found that kind of fascinating. You know, it's like saying the actual design of the building looks dated, and yet I don't know, I kind of question that, the naivety of it.
The naivety, I think, is related more to, that dream and optimism that we had during the, before the coup, and that, like Regina, the architect, says, we're going to be big. Brazil, had this, ideal of we're going to be big, we're going to be important, and, we're exporting this, architecture is the first art that we exported. So, there's this moment in Brazil that everyone is believing, like, okay, this is going to be amazing.
Right.
So that's, I think, for sure, that's what he's saying. We had this naivete about how we look back and it's like, oh my God, look all that happened, right?
Yeah.
Right after that moment. So
yeah. I think that's one of the things I find most fascinating in it, is that through the lifetime of a building, you not only get to examine your relationship with your father, but you get to examine both the social and cultural history of Brazil, and really through Brazil everywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something really striking about that. I mean, was there a point where you realized that the story of the film really was the story of the building? Mm-hmm. Or do you think that? I mean, you may not think that that's actually the main story of
I think the story of the building was the story of Brazil and the story of my relationship with my father somehow.
It's all of those things.
There's a lot of metaphors, and I don't know. I mean, some people sometimes get it or some don't, but I couldn't get inside the building, and I couldn't go back to my father's house.
Right.
I didn't want to say that in the film because it'd be like, okay, but that. I think that was bringing me so much anxiety that I couldn't, go back to. I couldn't go inside the building. I could never go back to my father's house.
Yeah.
So, all those things are, creating all these emotions and saying, okay, let's talk about that. Let's bring them out. So it's part of the story somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
my story.
Yes. I guess that's one of the sort of the great teachings of living in the moment, when you do realize that you actually can't go back. You've got to be actually in the moment that things are.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like, and also you're kind of, the moment gets you too, right? I mean, you are in the moment, and then you start like, wow, this is happening, and you can't avoid it. You just have to keep going and I went until I realized, okay, this is what's happening, and it has so many parallels and so much metaphors, and it was kind of intense, to say the least.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. It's beautiful to be in the other end now. It's really nice. I feel really good.
Yeah. You work with, aesthetically, you have a very striking look to the film. Rhythmically, it's beautiful. And you also have an amazing soundtrack. Mm. So can you talk about the collaboration that you had with your composer?
Who is here? Beto Villares. Yeah, Beto. So Beto came all the way from Brazil, and he's going to play some cues of the film after this Q&A, so stay put. It'll be very short but very sweet. And he's so Beto, we start talking on Zoom, right? He was in Brazil, I was here. And I remember one thing I said to him. Do you remember, Beto? I said to you, Beto, I think I don't play music. I don't know how to read music. I just feel music. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I'm gonna tell is like, just make your music in the same heartbeat as the heart of the film, like just, bring your heart to the heart of the film or something like that. And then he did. And I think I think this soundtrack is amazing. It's beautiful. You agree, right? He put all his heart and talent, his super talent, and so it was a very nice experience. And I waited. He was very busy. I waited a few months, and I'm glad I did.
That's great.
Yeah.
But did did he respond to your images? I mean, had you cut the film and he made music in response to the film?
Yeah, we had a very good cut at the time, like very, I can't remember, but yeah, we had a very, I don't know, rough cut 3 or almost, I don't know, can't remember, but yeah, we had maybe almost close to fine cut, I don't know, can't remember exactly now, but we gave him the link, he watched the film, and then we talked, and he just, we had a very good temp music, and I was a little attached to it, so I was really scared, like, oh my God, it's gonna be hard, but I forgot my temp music, and this is so much beautiful. And yeah, I was just like, back and forth, but he had a sense of the film when he started, because we wait a little bit for him to be available, so.
Yeah. I'm just checking in on time. So I've got like a little time before I bring the musicians up, right? Oh boy, then I think it's time to get some music on stage.
I do need to, while they're coming here, well, I'm going to say that, I was going to say that at the very end, but maybe if you guys, Beto, Cash Killian, and Sandy Poindexter, who are playing with Beto, 2 amazing local musicians, if you want to come here, and I need to acknowledge a lot of people, but it's going to be very fast, so. By the time they're here, I think I'll be done. No,
Great.
I won't. Let's see, page 10 is not here. Okay. Okay, so first of all, I just want to acknowledge my team and supporters. So please stand up, dance, or wave, whatever you want to do when I call your name. So first, our great, talented, and dedicated editor, Josh Peterson. You did an amazing job. The amazing Ellen Bruno, who wrote the narration with Josh and I. Our story consultant from Toronto, who is here, Ricardo Acosta. He was really amazing, helped me get the personal, emotional to the story. And our executive producers, Ann Corcus, Elizabeth King, Nancy Blackman, my amazing and beautiful co-producers, Amir Soltani, Leah Mahan, Richard O'Connell, my associate producers, Sage Brucia, I hope it's Brucia, Marilyn Mulford, Sam Taylor. We have some additional writings. Chandra is here, Cattlestone. I called this name there, right? Correct? And Laurie Coyle. My goddaughter and translator, Luara Venturi. The color grading, Ibon Walasquaga. Our animation consultant, Alex da Silva, is here. The mix and sound design by Jacob Bloomfield Mishrak and Isaac Wilson from Immersive. Did a great job, it was beautiful. Post-production assistants, Abriana Carillo, Hannah Lee and Russell Purcell. My bookkeeper, oh my God, Jocelyn Fabello. You know how important a bookkeeper is, right? And I also wanted to thank you all the supporters who had made this film possible. You know, it was 6 years in the making. So Seeds for Communities Foundation, Kit Miller, amazing support, friend, and thank you. Nancy and Rich Robbins Family Foundation, IDA Enterprise Fund, Steiner King Foundation, Berkeley Film Foundation, I think Abby Ginsberg and Isabel Miller are here. Bayvac Media Makers, Paula Rigoni and Don Valadez are here too, I think. And finally, you know, the film is co-produced by ITVS, and we have the CEO and president of ITVS here, Carrie Lozano, who also Was at IDA when I was awarded. So yeah, we're back in business and in full circle. Thank you, Carrie. And Janet Nunez is here. And Gayle Silva, too, always a supporter. And so I just want to introduce you again to Beto Villares, Beto, all the way from Brazil, Cash Killen, Sandy Poindexter. And I want to thank Sue, Cash's partner, for all the help with everything these days, because it was amazing. Thank you so much. And so enjoy, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank
this
you,
time.
and let the music begin.
Yes.